live at 9. 9231 is the toll-free number. Bottom of the hour, huge news blitz, key medical news for you and your family coming up that is vital to your health and your life. Stay with us. This information is key. Kevin in Oregon, you're on the air. Thanks for holding.
Hey, Alex. How's it going?
Good, sir. Welcome.
I would like to point out the story of Eric Scott in Las Vegas. I wanted to know if you'd heard about that.
My memory doesn't serve. Tell me about it.
He had a legal carry permit, and he was shot by 3 cops in a Costco.
No, give us his name again. I see these type of reports, unfortunately, on a weekly basis, but his name is Eric Scott.
Eric Scott with a K, E-R-I-K, Scott.
Eric Scott shot in where?
In Las Vegas in a Costco. And this guy was a West Point grad. He was a Duke University master's degree grad, well-respected. And I was thinking he's also a friend of George Knapp from Coast to Coast AM. Maybe you could get him on and talk about it. But I'll take your comments off there. Thank you, Alex. We're
writing all that down, George Knapp. I have not seen the report, but I have seen reports all the time where in Texas you'll have a .243 or a shotgun in your gun rack. You're going dove hunting or whatever, but that's not its main use. It's for self-defense. And the cops pull you over. They flip out on you. They'll find some reason to arrest you. You see the reports constantly. It's, again, almost always an old man for some reason. You just saw it last week in Colorado. But 9 times out of 10, it's an old elderly man, usually a veteran, and people break in their house or break in their property or steal in their car, and they come out and shoot somebody or shoot them in their house, and they get arrested and charged with murder. Not manslaughter, murder. I constantly see reports, mainly in New York State, Massachusetts, New Jersey, but I've seen it in Michigan. I've seen it in Texas. I mean, I've seen so many of these it makes my head spin. I know you've seen them. Where it's almost always an old man, because old men love to tinker and they got all their tools. Let me tell you, seeing that Clint Eastwood movie, it's the name of a car, Gran Torino. I've known so many old vets that are literally just like that guy, you know, that character. That's why that movie's so popular. Everybody knows a character like that. And, you know, you're a kid and they invite you over to their garage and everything's all neat in there and they teach you how to saw and drill and, you know, and you ask them to tell you war stories and they won't. But it's almost always that type of guy that you see in Gran Torino where they'll be in their garage, their little tinker shop, and they'll be welding or they'll be sawing or they'll be doing woodwork or they'll be messing with their fly rods. And, you know, that's a wonderland when you're a little kid. I mean, I had grandpas like that. You know, you go in their work shed. In fact, my dad's dad had a work shed with his fly fishing equipment and his bass fishing equipment and woodwork and tools. And, you know, he'd take me in there and show me stuff. And it's always the same. You'll have a brainwashed, un-American, domesticated slime ball, and they'll be walking by in rural areas. It happens a lot in L.A. I saw a news report a few years ago about this, and they'll see the person's garage up, and they'll be in there cleaning a rifle. I mean, how many times did I see my grandfather out in his shed cleaning a rifle? You know, young people today buy guns, and I've watched them. They don't even clean them when they go out and shoot them. But, you know, those old vets, it was religious. You know, let's go clean the rifles, and you get in there, and they're taking them apart. One of these brainwashed yuppies, or whatever they are, whatever you want to call them, these domesticated, gelded creatures who've been castrated, they see you with a gun. And I told the story. I lived in an apartment in college, and I was going to go deer hunting. And I walked out. My Mustang was parked with a hatchback right by my door. I was out there maybe 5 seconds, walked out, stuck the rifle in the back, stuck a box of shells in there, and forgot something, and came back 10 minutes later, and the police were there. And I said, and they said, have you seen a man with a gun? It matches your description. And I said, yeah, it's a deer rifle. And the cop went, somebody got scared and called. Okay. And now cops will ask for a license. This one, I guess, was a patriot and said, okay, I just had to come. Have a good one. I'm going hunting this weekend, too. Literally, that's what happened. One time we got pulled over for speeding in Waco. It was me and 2 of my high school buddies. We were in college. They were 2 UT football players, Alex and, well, the point is we were there, And the cop pulled us over, and there were like 15 guns in the back because we wanted to go shoot all of our guns out at my family ranch. We were driving East Texas. And he looked at them and said, okay, well, have fun and hunting and shooting. But you run into the wrong cop, they're going to go ahead and... I see it in the news constantly where they say, the man was arrested for an arsenal. And then I'll go check that state's law, and there's no law against a arsenal. And I've seen an arsenal be as many as five guns they'll call an arsenal. I've seen them call 500 rounds of ammo an arsenal. I've seen reports all over the country where now people who buy over 500 rounds get a Homeland Security visit at their house. And so the subject you bring up, I need to go back to calls, but now I'm ranting on this. The subject you bring up just brings to mind thousands of stories. I mean, every second a new one that I remember reading about or seeing pops into my mind. And now people all over the country, in Nevada and Arizona and Vermont and other places where it's legal to open carry, they're starting to say, you know what, I'm tired of you intimidating Second Amendment defenders. I'm tired of you saying our guns are dirty and bad. We're going to wear these guns openly. And the media hates it because how are they going to demonize it and imply guns are illegal if we start openly carrying them and taking our right back by exercise and by precedent? And so I do see those reports where the police just completely flip out. Of course, there's the famous case. I probably told the story 50 times. This was got to be 12 years ago. And I had a carpet cleaner in my house, and I broadcast out of my house at the time. I'd already gotten syndicated. I was on about 20 stations at the time. And he was in my broadcast studio, and I didn't have children then, so my shotgun was out openly on a double rifle rack. But it was just a shotgun up there, a Winchester Defender, like a $200 at the time shotgun from I believe I bought that at Oshman's, a special I saw in the paper. And it was a pump shotgun and for defense. And the guy ran out and started calling the police on me. And, of course, the rest of that is history. But this is what goes on. And yes, indeed, here is the article. This is CBS News 8. We'll give folks a document cam shot of this. It says, Chris Castillo describes his co-worker and good friend Eric Scott in glowing terms. He served his country, West Point grad, Duke master's degree, solid business guy, Castillo said. Castillo was shocked that Scott was shot and killed by Metro Police Saturday afternoon. It was very, very hard to believe. Everybody was in disbelief as to what the heck could have happened and why, Castillo said. The 38-year-old medical salesman was shopping for his girlfriend at Costco when police say trouble began. What he was doing was removing metal water bottles out of their packages or boxes. Wow, I mean, I've done that. I was buying something this weekend and kind of opened the package to look at it. I guess you don't do that, said Metro Police Captain Patrick Nevels. So I guess this veteran's dead for... It's kind of like that line from First Blood where they say, it'll read on John Rambo's tombstone, killed for jaywalking, killed for loitering. He threw a few on the floor and put other ones within his cart. So it sounds like they're making that up. Yeah, the guy's just... So he might have set it there and then somebody got mad because one fell off or something. Who knows? So don't drop something in a store. You're dead. Police say customers complained about Scott's behavior. He allegedly argued with security, refused to obey officers when they arrived. He goes into his waistband area, puts his hands on his weapon, is going for the weapon. Captain Neville said the officer then begins to issue verbal commands for him to get on the ground, get on the ground, get on the ground. 3 officers then fired 7 shots. We have over a dozen witnesses that saw the individual pull a weapon from his waistband, Captain Neville said. You know, I'd love to be able to believe that, but we just saw the cop get second-degree manslaughter. He'll serve 2 to 4 years in Oakland for putting a man in handcuffs for no reason on a platform and then shooting him in the back. And then they rough him up after they shoot him in the back, and then he died. And then they lied, and they tried to grab everybody's cell phone cameras, but one guy was down the ramp and got some footage of it and was able to get away. Somebody else was on a train that stopped, and they got it. And they said that the man had assaulted the officers and was not in handcuffs and had gone for their weapon. And, of course, he was in handcuffs on the ground. They were jumping on his head and beating him up and doing what bullies do, I guess. And then they killed him. And then it wasn't enough to kill him. They lied about him and tried to abscond and engage in conspiracy to cover up the murder. And so, I mean, who knows if this is true? How many cop car tapes have we seen where the cops plant drugs on somebody? How many cop car tapes have you seen where they beat the daylights out of somebody and then file a report that they assaulted them? I mean, how many times have we seen Austin cops shoot somebody in the back and then lie about it later? And, you know, my issue is they're hiring a bunch of politically correct cowards who are scared to death of everybody, and they're hiring a bunch of thugs who like to kill people. And we don't need that. You know, we need strong men and women who understand preserving life is everything. And if you're too scared and are trigger happy because, you know, you think somebody's trying to kill you, don't be a cop. Okay? You need to be a peace officer, a guardian, not a crazy man.